first up, what a front-end system is kind of like an aesthetically pleasing, kind of glossy front end. So front end to give you nice glossy looks for retro games, which you can get artwork for in preview videos, even manuals, that type of thing. So first up, I'm going to recommend Retrobat, which is a French distribution. So if we just go to Retrobat, just search it on Google, it should be your first result. Just go to downloads, and it's currently, as of this recording, it's version 4.0.2. If you've already got Retrobat installed, you want to update it, all you do is download the update script only and simply extract the contents of that inside your root folder where your Retrobat system is installed to. So as I say, this is going to be a fresh install, just for a tutorial. And what I'm going to do first, I've just remembered I've got my downloads set to a particular directory which I don't want them in. So little extra tutorial here. So if I'm using Google Chrome here, so if I just go to the three dots at the top here, if I go down to settings, and then I can go to downloads, and the location for downloads is currently in E, and I don't want it in that. I want it in the C drive root default, really, download folder. So if I just select that, when I go to download Retrobat, that should then download into my C drive download folder, which is Groovy Man. So it's a 1.2 gigabyte file, and it's an exe file. And if you're new to files like this, exe means executable. So it's a type of file where you can double left click on it and it opens up. It's that simple, really, exe files. That's .exe. So just wait for that to download, and whilst I'm waiting on that, I'm going to go into my downloads folder, and there we go, we got Retrobat here. So just simply double left click on Retrobat, install that is, and if you're running Windows 10, you'll probably come up against this, but I won't worry too much about this. This is just Windows being Windows trying to prevent you, but there you go. So if we just go to more info and run anyway. So yeah, completely legal package, Retrobat. You know, it's is what is. It's just a bunch of emulators, and it's running Retroarch in the background. So select the type of install, so I'm going to just put full installation, and if we go to the drop down here, you'll see full installation and light installation. It will say no standalone emulators. So emulator standalones in this package are going to be things like PCSX2, Dolphin, that type of thing, and I'm guessing custom will give you the options to remove certain parts, but for this I'm going to go for the full installation, and it's going to go to the C drive Retrobat folder. So it's going to create a folder in your C drive, in my C drive, Retrobat. So if I just go install that. So other things, whilst this is installing, you're going to need to open Retrobat with once it's installed is runtime packages. And I notice a lot of people in the community, they'll often say, oh, it doesn't run, games don't run. So your best bet for this is Runtime all-in-one. And if we go to the top result here, Visual C++, redistribute all runtimes, this will give you every installation package for runtime, Visual Runtime. So I've already got this, but it's as simple as download it. Let me just do this for you. So quickest server to download from is obviously UK, so I'm going to select UK for a quicker download. Now, I could even go in more depth with this part, that Visual C runtimes will download in a RAR file. So a RAR file, or some people use WinZip, is kind of like a compressed package which holds a lot of different files in, just to compress it to make it smaller, that type of thing. So If you don't have WinZip or WinRAR, I suggest you just say type into Google WinRAR download 64-bit if you're running a 64-bit CPU. So there's that. So I've already got WinRAR installed. I've used WinRAR for years. So I've always preferred it over WinZip. So what we're going to do here is extract this package I've just downloaded, the WinRAR containing runtime files, and I'm going to just place these. I'm going to make a separate folder in my downloads folder, my C drive, and I'm going to just name this Visual VC. That'd be fine. So what I'm going to do is just highlight all these redistributable files, exe files, and just drag them into this folder. So they're all in here, and I've already got this installed. You need it for some games, rely on these files to help run things smooth or whatever. So it's literally just a case of going to the top, install all, and keep pressing yes. So Windows Defender will come up and sort of warn you it could be a virus, you know, that type of thing. So this is it. It's just a process of just keep pressing yes, 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 yes. And in the background here, you got your command window open, which is running through each package you're installing. And again, so okay, so Retrobat is actually installed in it now, so that's good. And I'm going to just continue installing all these runtime files. And yeah, there's several there to install, but you need this to get Retrobat and other similar front-end packages running. So anyway, they're all installed, and we've also now got Retrobat setup installed. So if I just go and leave it as default create desktop shortcut, just go to finish that. And if we look here, it will say Retrobat, and that's your new Retrobat icon. So let's go ahead and open this, double left click on that shortcut. And here you go, this is, well, the kind of like splash screen, I think it's called. And you know, things in this Retrobat system, they're very customizable, so you can even change these startup videos. Okay, so as standard, Retrobat comes with several games, freeware games. So if we just, I'm using a keyboard for this, but honestly you can use any controller, really, USB or Bluetooth. So if I just go to MS-DOS, a bit odd playing this using keyboard with this. So okay, so freeware games we've got inside here, ready to play as of now, as soon as you've installed this. Some cool stuff, some old Microsoft DOS games like Duke Nukem 3D and Jazz Jack Rabbit, if you're old enough to remember them. We've even got Nintendo NES here, and it's got another freeware game in there, Game Boy, and that type of thing. So if you didn't install the visual runtime files, you wouldn't get this far, it wouldn't open. So it's imperative you actually install those before anything else. So you know, you've got Super Nintendo here, Game Boy Advance, that type of thing, Dreamcast, another game. So let's just open up, just check everything's running. So if I just go and open up what we got under Super Nintendo, so just open up a Super Nintendo game. And there we go, and on the sides of the screen on each side, that's called a bezel, and you can actually disable the bezel to give it a wider screen. At the moment, the ratio of it is 4:3, but 16:9 is what I personally recommend. So no idea what this game is, but as you can see, just proof of concept, it's working. So anyway, to exit this, just press escape if you're using a keyboard and Z to back out. So everything's looking cool there. Let's see what else I can show you running Retrobat. So if we just press enter if you're using a keyboard, we can even change the themes of Retrobat. So if we go to updates and downloads and select themes, we can make this look really cool. So One that I personally like myself is really funky. I like this one. So just find the theme you like, and mine is down the bottom. I use this one. Go to install this, and you'll see at the top right that it's downloading that theme. And it will extract it. So you need to enable this once it's been extracted. So if I just go to enter again, and if I go to UI settings, that stands for user interface. Oh, and if we go to theme set, you'll see the one I've just downloaded, which is RVGM. So just back out this, it'll reload, and there you go, there's your new theme. And within each theme, when you select a system, you get loads of really cool things going on like this, preview videos and that type of thing. So I'll show you a little bit more of Retrobat. Okay, just had to turn my phone off actually because it ran out of charge. So back to Retrobat. So let's just take you through some other features you do Retrobat. Of course, I'm going to go more in depth with this. I'm just going to show you how to make things look better. So your main function is on your front end on your main screen here. If I just press enter to take me into this menu, as I said a minute ago, you can go to updates and downloads and download your themes, as I just said. If we go to the bezel project, that will get you new bezels for the corners, the sides of the old style 4x3 displays, if you're into that sort of thing. If you're new to, say, Retrobat, always keep update type on stable. If you go to beta, you might mess things up if you're not sure what you're doing. So for now, we're running the latest version of Retrobat, so there's no need to update anything. So if I just back out of this, we can do a lot of things from here, especially under user interface settings. So just select this. Now we selected our theme, which is currently on RVGM. If we go to theme configuration, you can change a lot of things from this part. So theme backgrounds, translucent, opaque. So let's just go for opaque and see what happens here. So if we just exit out of here. So I'm not sure what the difference is here, but I'm sure it's done something. So let's go back into that. So UI settings. You can even change screensaver settings. If you don't touch Retrobat for a couple of minutes, it will give you like a display. So I'm just going to put this up to screensaver after 67 minutes and that type of thing. So transition style is going to be when you select each system, you can choose it to fade and slide, that sort of thing. This sort of thing really is a case of experimenting, what works through, what looks best for what you're planning to use it for. So yeah, you've got a lot of different options here. Game settings, and now from here, you can change a game ratio I was talking about. So it's on auto currently, so I'm going to just put this by 19:16, I believe. Is that the one I need? So you've got different ratios going on here, and pretty sure it's so you've got 4:3, which is the box ratio, which is the old school style. So I'm going to put 9:16. From here, we can also go to smooth games. So rather than old school games looking very pixelated, we can smooth them out by saying on. Integer scale is another option to kind of smooth things down with the pixelation. So I'm going to just leave that to auto. Shaders, again, it's another graphical enhancement for pixels, that type of thing. So yeah, that's about it for now. So let's just check that the ratio I just selected is working as I just thought it would work. So I'm going to go back to this game. There we go, and by the looks of it, it's now also displaying in the 9:16, sorry, 16:9 ratio. Almost. It's certainly looking bigger. So there we go. So all good. And some reason this is speeded up. I've pressed spacebar, so just press it again. So let's exit out of here. So let's close this down. So if we just go to enter and go to quit, I'll show you the folder structure of Retrobat. So as I said, it's going to be installed on my C drive, and we'll have a folder here called Retrobat, which is what we've just installed. And now here is where things get a bit more interesting, and a lot of newbies often ask questions around these sort of areas. So ROMs means read-only memory. So you hear people loosely talk about ROMs is in their games, but I've always been a bit of a snob that way. It's read-only memory. Yes, they're games, but it's an abbreviation. So if we just go to ROMs, now inside ROMs is a subdirectory of folders, which is all the systems that Retrobat is supporting. So if we go to the Super Nintendo folder, we should find SNES, that is, Super Nintendo SNES. We'll find in here the game which is already on there, and there it is. So can't pronounce this, Mazima, I think it's pronounced. So anyway, what you do is download your ROM's read-only memory files and you put them into the relevant folders, and that's about it. Okay. So something else I need to mention is BIOS. Now, there are certain systems which are totally reliable on the BIOS files, and BIOS means basic input-output system. So motherboards have BIOS installed, and BIOS is kind of like a set of instructions. You're telling the computer how to do things. So for example, you could enter BIOS on a computer to change the boot sequence of how things will boot up. So say you've got 3 hard drives, you could go into the BIOS of a PC and you could change the boot sequence to read first from, I don't know, say hard drive 1 rather than hard drive 2. So it's all about sequences, that type of thing. So yeah, there's certain systems that are emulated on Retrobat and other front-end systems, and they're dependable on BIOS files. The most common ones which needs BIOS files, input-output files, is Sega CD, that's Mega CD if you're in the UK. Other systems is PS2 and PS3, and there are several more, but it will give you a warning on Retrobat when you launch a game for a particular system if it doesn't have the BIOS files. So of course, if you use BIOS files, you must own the BIOS files. You can use your own system to somehow upload those BIOS files from your own, say, PS2. So once you extract the BIOS files, they go into your BIOS folder in Retrobat, as so, and you'll just extract your BIOS files in here. That's about it with BIOS files. So other things you've got going on inside of the Retrobat directory, if you go to emulators, I was talking about Retroarch. Now, Retroarch is kind of like your organs of your front end. Your front end is the glossy side of things, and Retroarch runs in the background to make the games work. So you can actually open up Retroarch as a standalone package, which I'm about to do. So it looks pretty ugly, but you can actually make this look a lot nicer. So if you go to settings, and I'm pretty sure it's video. So yeah, it looks pretty intimidating to begin with, but after a short while you get into it. And it's been quite some time since I used this program, so just trying to make it look a bit nicer. So drivers, video. But yeah, organs of any front end is pretty much Retroarch most of the time. And this is zooming in and out as I can see on the camera here. It's not taking really well in the dark. Okay, so menu. If we go to menu here, XMB is a good one to have. So if I now go to configuration file and save current configuration, I'm going to restart Retroarch and it will give us a new GUI, graphical user interface. So things look good. So To update emulators in the background being used by Retroarch when you're running Retrobat, just simply go to Online Updater and just download updates. So update assets. Very slow download in some cases, but it keeps things up to date. So your main ones to download here is assets, databases, and slang shaders. I won't go into details with them because I could be there all night, but I'm not even going to let this assets run because I'm not planning on using this. It's just a tutorial. So let me show you where to download games. I use this more than anything for Commodore 64. So a really good website for, say, Commodore 64 games is CSDB, Commodore C Database. So this is a game developer site which I've used for years and years. I'm going to try and zoom in a bit now. And what I do is go to latest releases. And if you're in the Commodore 64 games, your type here in this column, it will tell you what type of program it is someone's uploaded or created. Okay, so what I'm looking for is game. So under the type, there we go, there's a game. So that's the recent one of the Suck competition game entries, I think. What I'm looking for is a full game. And of course, you've got other indie websites where developers, programmers will upload their own games for people to play. Sometimes you've got to pay for them, sometimes they're freeware. Right, so let's just try this one. So we got Lycia, The Lost Islands. I'm pretty sure that's a really new game for the C64, which I've not played yet. So just go to download, and it will download the zip file, which will then go into my downloads folder in my C drive. And there we go. So if we just extract this game, right click on it and extract. And it's opened up, it's extracted rather, a folder Lycia. So what we're doing here is just go into the C64 folder, and this game comes with 4 discs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all these, I'm going to copy them, and I'm going to go back to my Retrobat folder, and in the ROMs folder where you put your games, I'm going to find the C64 folder. Just paste these games I just copied inside that folder. Now let's see what happens when I run Retrobat again. And if you chose the full installation package when you installed Retrobat, you'll have standalone emulators in addition to things like Retroarch. Okay, so technically this C64 game should now be in the C64 system, and there we go. So what you do to make these look even better is, I'm not sure if it's going to work on these, the file extension names are probably wrong, but just press enter, go to scrape, and use screen scraper, and I put things to box 3D, box 2D, and you're going to need to enter a username at this point. You need to sign up with Screen Scraper. Okay, I'm not going to show you that, but anyway, if you sign up to Screen Scraper, it will just scrape off your artwork for your game. So, say that C64 game will then have a nice box art type thing in the preview video. And that's about it. And let me just quickly show people the standalone emulators, which the full installation of Retrobat comes with. So if we go back into the Retrobat folder in your C drive, if you go to emulators, there's really good standalone emulators here to use. So we got Dolphin Emu, which is a GameCube and Nintendo Wii emulator. So go in there. If we go to Dolphin application, which is an exe file, double left click on it, and it will ask you to update it. So just install update. So to get more technical, when you're using Retrobat, you can do a lot from a standalone emulator, which is being powered from Retrobat. So you can actually do things outside of Retrobat to make them look better inside Retrobat, if that makes any sense. So that will take a little while. It must be a big update. Okay, let's do this thing a minute. Okay, so another one we've got here, standalone, is PCSX2, which is a PlayStation 2 emulator. So just open that, and there you go. So you can mess around with different settings on here on the PCSX2. If we go to configure, video settings, plugin settings, from here you can choose to render how your games are going to be rendered. So you've got different types of DirectX adapter renders, and for some reason my adapter isn't showing. Now the adapter, it should show my graphics cards, my GPU, but for some reason it's not showing, but I'll figure it out again at some point. So another thing PCSX2 needs is a BIOS file, and that's about it for PCSX2. So let's just wait for this Dolphin updater to finish. You know, you've even got the OG original Xbox emulator in there, but again, you're going to need BIOS files, that type of thing, for this system. There is ways to take off firmware from your original Xbox, just hooking it up to your computer, that type of thing, but that's another tutorial for another time. And yeah, this Dolphin updater is taking some time. And another standalone emulator we have is Redream, which is Dreamcast. Now, this is the free distribution of Redream. If you pay, you can upgrade things like different resolution settings. So yeah, you can do different video settings here. Aspect ratio, always keep the 16:9. And there's Dolphin. So Dolphin's now up and run. So this is your GameCube and Wii emulator. So it's just showing people watching this video what you can do with something like Retrobat, the background things, so options, you can tweak graphics settings. And what I said just now about adapter not showing under PCSX2, you can see here what I'm running. It's GeForce GTX 1050 Ti. So yeah, different things for 16:9, that type of thing. But yeah, that's about it for Retrobat. There isn't really much else I can say about it. So yeah, apologies again if I've not uploaded any gaming or computer related videos for a while, but I've been busy doing my music. So if you've enjoyed this video and it's helped you, subscribe, obviously, like and comment, and I'll see you later. So I'm just going to elaborate on what I said earlier on in the video about boot sequencing from BIOS. So yeah, it's just to show you what I mean sort of visually, rather than maybe getting it confused with what I said during the video. So I just booted up my PC, and this is running a HP motherboard. And to get into BIOS settings, just as you power on your computer, laptop or PC, I'm not sure if that goes for Apple computers, I wouldn't know, I don't use Apple. But so we're in the HP BIOS menu, and what you're going to do is, you know, things are going to look different depending on what motherboard you got, what the brand is. So the kind of functions are very similar, it's just laid out differently in most cases. So to enter BIOS setup, you can just scroll down to BIOS setup, or just press F10 like it says. And from here, I'm going to use the keys because the mouse is a bit weird. So boot sequence. So if we go to advanced and go down to boot options, if we go down here, it will say that there's two types of booting devices. It's the UEFI and legacy boot. Pretty sure EFI is the modern version hard drive format, file format system. It's been a little while, but I think that's right what I just said. So it will say here that boot sequence on this UEFI is SATA 0. So SATA being my hard drive, and then that's your first preference where it boots from is a SATA 0. And then it secondly boots from USB, which is an external USB hard drive I've got attached. And then it will say SATA CD, and there's nothing connected there. And then SATA 1, which is another hard drive. So that's the sequence. And yeah, that's it really. So whilst we're at BIOS settings, I'll just show you can do a lot of other things. So if we go to main, system information, it can even tell us what type of processor we've got, you've got, I've got. And say you've got a turbo boost on your processor. Let's see. Yeah, in my case, if I go to system options under advanced, I can use BIOS to enable turbo boost to give my i7 processor extra bit of power. Hyper-threading, again, I've enabled that, and hyper-threading is, more powerful processor, that type of thing. Multi-processor is also enabled, so multi-processor is saying that I've got a quad processor. That's what it means, multi-processor. So if I disabled it, it will just be running a single processor, whereas if I checked it, which I've had, it's actually running 4 processors essentially within a processor, hence quad. So yeah, like I said, you can do a lot of settings, different changes in BIOS. And BIOS is strictly your motherboard and how your motherboard runs the hardware connected to your motherboard. So it's a little bit confusing. It's pretty in-depth stuff, and some of it's hard to explain. But I just wanted to clear up what I was talking about with BIOS. In terms of emulation, emulation is a case of clever people around the world reverse engineering hardware and making it accessible on computer, so you can run what the computer thinks is a real system